Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome back to the Off the Bench podcast. My name is Robert Sellers. Happy Groundhog Day to all those who are watching this on Tuesday, February 2nd. It's the day that I'm filming it. It's a little late, so some of the games that I'm going to be talking about today actually might start in my time before the podcast ends, so that'll be interesting. But today, I'm going to give my thoughts, a little bit of a breakdown, a little bit of an instant reaction video on all of the college basketball that we enjoyed this past weekend. We had some great Friday night games. Saturday was amazing once again. And then we even had a couple of really big games on Sunday that went down that I'm going to talk about. And then I'm going to preview a little bit of what's going to happen early on in this week. It's Monday night games, Tuesday night games, and Wednesday night games. There's good ones. All three of those days I'm going to talk about. It's going to be a great week in college basketball. And Groundhog Day today is one of my favorite holidays, which is weird. I know not a lot of people have Groundhog Day as one of their favorite holidays. I love Groundhog Day for a couple of reasons, but one of the reasons that I do is because it means that college basketball is really turning up. We are a month away from March. We don't have very many big Saturdays left in the college basketball season and big weeks, but every single one of these games that these teams have, whether it's in the MAC, whether it's in the SEC, the Big Ten, the Mountain West, the ACC, the Big 12, all of these conferences, all of these games are so big time. They're so important. Teams on the bubble right now, every win means something. Every loss means something. Teams that are striving to get 1 seeds, 2 seeds, those games are so important. They're so crucial, especially when it's big time top 10 games. And then other games in mid-major basketball means so much for seeding in those tournaments because conferences like the SoCon, like the ASUN, like the A10 are not going to get multiple bids. So teams that are striving to do their best to be the best they can be in their conferences is the only way they can make the tournament. So February is the best time of the year, maybe, to watch college basketball other than March. I'm so excited to talk about everything that went down this weekend. Without further ado, we're going to kick things off in Lawrence, Kansas, in Allen Fieldhouse, the 1,000th game in Allen Fieldhouse, and Kansas was able to take down the BYU Cougars 90-82. Bill Self said pregame that this was in the top 1% of Allen Fieldhouse games in terms of hype, in terms of buildup, and it was a great one. It really was. Kansas came out in the first half and dominated BYU. They were up like 20 at halftime. They were playing so well, and they were led, of course, by Darren Peterson. And if you had any doubts whatsoever that Darren Peterson was not going to be the first overall pick in this NBA draft, those doubts were just gone. He came out in the first half, put up 18 points. He was so good. Like, I don't know if you got the chance to watch that Kansas BYU first half, but if you didn't, it was the Darren Peterson show. He was absolutely phenomenal. He was fantastic on defense. He even had a couple steals. One when he was guarding DeBonsta. On the other side of the floor, of course, he was scoring at all three levels. He that dunk that he had, like double contested dunk, should have been an and one dunk. They didn't call it. That was one of the best plays of the year. It was phenomenal. The layup that he was driving in the lane, switched from right hand to left hand. Oh, it was so smooth. And then his mid-range game is phenomenal. He shot well from three. He is so good. Like, I don't think it's a stretch whatsoever to say that Darren Peterson is the best player in college basketball right now. And honestly, if you're not saying that, I just think you're wrong. Like, just straight up, you're just wrong. But the unfortunate part about the Darren Peterson saga, about his freshman year at Kansas and his only year in college basketball, is once again he played and dominated the first half and then sat the last 15 minutes of the game. Like, it was so sad. I was sitting here on my couch watching the game with one of my friends. I was like, how on earth is Darren Peterson not playing in this game in the fourth quarter? And apparently, allegedly, he had cramps he was dealing with, like some sort of muscle cramps. It did not look like he had cramps. Like, he was just sitting on the bench watching the game. Like, it did not look like he wanted to get in there. He wasn't like over enthusiastically cheering on his team. He wasn't like, oh man, my muscles cramping, like a normal person would do if he had a cramp. Bill Self said something about a condition um, sort of thing. Like, he wasn't conditioned enough to play this game. Like, he was tired. Are you kidding me? Like, Derek Peterson, dude, this is one of the biggest games of your college career against top 15 team BYU, who's coming back in the fourth quarter, and after being on the bench for 13 minutes of game time, you're telling me you're too tired to come in and play the last 2 minutes of the game? Is that really what? I think that's more embarrassing. Like, him being tired is way more embarrassing than the muscle cramps. Um, but I mean, this is a factor. Like, this is the thing. If Darren Peterson isn't fully healthy now in February, are we even going to get a healthy Darren Peterson at all this season? because a healthy Darren Peterson, as I said, is the best player in college basketball. So it is just very unfortunate that Kansas keeps getting these glimpses of like one of the best college scorers that we've seen in a really long time, and then he just sits the second half. Like this has happened so many times. I think over the last 200 game minutes that Kansas has had, he's only played 102 of them. Like he's their best player. He's playing half of the time. So I hate that this is like the main story around Kansas basketball right now. I hate it. That the thing that everyone's talking about is Darren Peterson's health, and that's just like the overriding thing. Because this Kansas team is playing really good basketball with and without Darren Peterson. I mean, this defense is so slept on. Like Kansas' defense is one of the most slept on things in college basketball, partly because everyone just wants to talk about Darren Peterson. No one wants to give credit to the rest of this Kansas team, to what they're doing. I mean, Kansas is a threat to make a run in March Madness, 100%. And it's not just because of Darren Peterson. It's mainly because of the Kansas defense. I mean, it's been incredible. Melvin Council Jr. is super athletic. He's an awesome point guard. He does a really good job getting on transition. It sort of feels like he plays so much better when Darren Peterson's not on the floor. I don't know what it is. It just he just hits another gear. And he's really, really fun to watch. Trey White. I love Trey White. Trey White was such a good get for Kansas. I think he's like 6'8". He might be short now. He might be 6'6", or I don't know exactly how tall he is, but he's a great 3-and-D player. He's become a much better shooter this year at Kansas. Great defender. Again, they matched him up on Richie Saunders for the first half. He did a really good job defending him there. And then he switched on to Devanza a lot, too. He's a great, great defender. Flory Badunga is one of the most slept-on players in the country, I feel like. Flory Badunga came out to start the game on A.J. Devanza. If you don't know who A.J. Devanza is, he is the best scorer in the Big 12 other than Darren Peterson, I would say. He's going to go top 3 in the NBA draft. He's a phenomenal prospect. And they just put Flory Badunga on him, the center. And Flory Badunga is a great rim protector, and he's a great post defender. And they had him guarding one of the best wings in the country. And he locked him down for the most part. Like, A.J. Devanza didn't score until 17 minutes into the game. And a lot of that was because of Flory Badunga. Another guy that's been playing phenomenal, and you could say the MVP of this game, was Bryson Tiller. He's another true freshman, 6'11", so versatile. He put up 21 points in this game, was phenomenal defensively. I mean, Kansas's front court with Flory Badunga and Bryson Tiller, if they can play as good as they played today, and if Darren Peterson can be healthy, and Melvin Council Jr. can play at his peak, and Trey White can just do what Trey White does, this is a really good team. Like we need to start talking about this Kansas team as a legitimate Final Four contender. Because if they are healthy and if they are playing at their best, there's not a lot of teams that can compete with Kansas. I mean, there are some. I'm not saying they're one of the best teams in the country, but they are, for my money, a top 10 team for sure. And they have a legitimate chance to definitely make the second weekend, definitely make a push to get to the Elite Eight, and definitely will give themselves a shot at the Final Four. And how amazing would that be if we got a Final Four with Darren Peterson, if we got a March Madness run with Darren Peterson, and if we just got to see him healthy, playing his best basketball towards the end of the season? I think that'd be great for the sport, and it's something that I definitely would want to see, and something that's definitely possible if everything can go right for Kansas. If we're looking at BYU, we're just going to switch gears now to the Cougars. I'm a little concerned with BYU. Now, I'm not concerned that they're not going to make the tournament. They're going to be okay. They're a good team. I'm not concerned with A.J. Devanza. I still think he's a fantastic prospect. I would have him going number 2 overall behind Darren Peterson for sure. He's phenomenal. But the problem with BYU is their performances in big games. I mean, they are 0-4 against top 15 teams. They've lost to Kansas, Arizona. Who else have they lost to? Texas Tech and another top 15 team that I can't think of right now. But they're 0-4 versus top 15 teams, 17-0 against everybody else. They don't really have that major marquee win right now. I mean, they have a win over Wisconsin. Sure, it's a good win. They beat Miami. I mean, okay, they're maybe a tournament team. But they still don't have that marquee win in the Big 12. And they're going to have chances to. They play Houston on Saturday, so they're going to have a chance to beat them there. But still, I mean, they don't have that quality win. And when I look at this BYU team, I can't help but say that they're selfish. I feel like a lot of the way that BYU scores, a lot of what their offense is predicated on, is ISO basketball. Is we're going to give the ball to Rob Wright. We're going to give the ball to A.J. Devanza, and they're going to do their thing. You know, we're going to let them cook. We're going to set them up. We're going to get them on a matchup that we like, and they're going to win. and we're just going to basically say our guy's going to get a bucket, and there's nothing your guy can do to stop him. To me, that is a very inconsistent form of basketball. It's very unpredictable. And yes, it may work at times. Yes, AJ Devansta might go out on a given night and put up 43, and you're going to win. But sometimes your stars just don't perform at as high of a level as you think they're going to. And when I look at what this BYU team was last year, it was completely different. It was, we're going to swing the ball around, we're going to play fast, we're gonna make threes at a much more consistent level. Like everyone on BYU last team, whether it was Mag, Saunders, who I'm going to talk about in a little bit, Hall, even their point guard, even Keva Keita. I mean, they all had a job and they performed it really, really well. And they were just a much more selfless team that was sort of predicated on sharing the ball, even with Yegor Devin. I mean, they just did a much better job playing fluid. But this BYU team, it's kind of hard to watch sometimes because if Devansta doesn't have it or if Rob Wright doesn't have it, they struggle. I mean, they really, really do. And it just sort of seems like that team hasn't quite gotten off the ground yet, and they're not playing consistently because of that reason. So that being said, I mean, they could be like a 6 seed this year. They don't have a big win yet. I mean, that's not crazy to think of that BYU could be a 6 seed. If they are, it's a dangerous 6 seed. But that's just where they're headed right now. I have to talk about Richie Saunders though, because Richie Saunders is absolutely incredible. He was the MVP of this game for sure. Dropped 33 points. He was the only reason that this final score was 90-82. BYU was getting smoked. And then Richie Saunders came out in the second half just flamethrowing. I mean, I don't know exactly how many points of the 33 he had in the second half. He was absolutely on fire. Like, if I am BYU's coach, if I'm Kevin Young, or if I'm anybody, and I'm watching this BYU team, and if it's the end of a game or the fate of the world is on the line and the Martians have death being pointed at earth, I'm not giving it to AJ Devansta. I'm not giving it to Rob Wright. I am giving it to Richie Saunders coming off the screen, 100%. That guy is awesome. He puts a lot of effort into. I think he's BYU's best player. I mean, no disrespect to AJ Devansta, he's a much better NBA prospect. He dropped 43 like a week and a half ago. But Richie Saunders to me is more consistent. He's a better defender. He's just clutcher. I don't know. I just feel like Richie Saunders is their best player, and that was obvious to me on Saturday afternoon when they played against Kansas. He doesn't have as much potential as AJ does. He's not going to be as good of an NBA player as AJ is going to be, but I just feel like he's better. And if you disagree with me, then go watch the Kansas game. He dropped 33, and AJ didn't score in the first 17 minutes. I know it's just one game, but still, I just feel like he's a more consistent, more selfless player. But that being said, this is a great game in Allen Fieldhouse. Great win for Kansas. We're going to move on to one of the Friday night games. Or no, this was a Sunday game. One of the Sunday afternoon games where ninth-ranked Illinois went on the road to Nebraska and took down the Cornhuskers 78-69, giving them their first loss of the season. This is like the first time in a really long time that a team has gone on the road against two top 5 teams in the span of 8 days and won each of those matchups. That's what Illinois has done. This is a great game, but the biggest story of this Illinois team, and maybe the biggest story in the Big Ten, other than Nebraska's surge, Keaton Wagler once again went off in this game on the road, put up 28 points. And this is just like a norm now. I mean, Keaton Wagler, by the way, might be the best player story in college basketball right now. I mean, this guy was recruit number 150 per 24/7 Sports. So he wasn't even one of the top 100 recruited players of this freshman class. Of course, this freshman class is getting hyped up for so long, and rightfully so. It's incredible how good this freshman class is. But everyone's been talking about guys like, Peterson, Devansta, Cam Boozer, Michael Brown, Caleb Wilson, Kingston Flemings. But a guy that wasn't even in the top 100, Keaton Wagler, might end up being a first-team All-American. He is absolutely balling. He's averaging 18 points a game. He's shooting 43% from 3 as a true freshman, averaging 5 rebounds and 4.2 assists. He's 6'6". He is 100% going to be a lottery pick in this NBA draft, and he is absolutely balling. He is easily Illinois' best player, and that's crazy to say given the fact that he's playing alongside the Ivisic brothers, Tomislav and Big Z. He's playing up against Andrei Stojakovic. Like, everyone that was talking about Illinois going into this year, it was all about all the guys from Eastern Europe. It was all about Stojakovic and the Ivisics and Mihailo Petrovic and Mirkovic and all of those guys coming in from Europe. But Wagler has been completely running the show. If you're not aware, he put up 46 points on the road at Purdue last Saturday. 8 days later, goes on the road at number 5 Nebraska, hangs 28 on them, and leads them to another victory on the road against the top 5 team. He is playing out of his mind. I mean, he can score at all 3 levels. He's a great finisher at the rim. He's been a great 3-point shooter this year. His mid-range game is fantastic. And he's just so much fun to watch. Like, I love watching Illinois basketball, not just because they move the ball around really well and they're a great rebounding team and they can shoot it really well, but mostly just because I love watching Keaton Wadler. Like, he plays with no fear. He's got no anxiety. He just goes out there and balls. And he's a true freshman. And he looks like he's 15. Like, he's not even that, I don't know, that sounds mean, but it's not like he's this big giant that has a huge beard. He's not Cam Boozer. He's just like this kid that's out here balling. I think it's awesome. I think he's got to be one of my favorite players in college basketball right now. I love watching him. I think he's a stud. And it's the reason why Illinois is the number 1 offense in college basketball. And frankly, you could make an argument that they're the best team in the Big Ten. To me, I still think that title goes to Michigan. But Illinois, you could 100% make the argument that they are the best team in the Big Ten. They avenged their loss to Nebraska. They've beaten Purdue. So they're fantastic. They're really fun to watch. And then if I'm looking at Nebraska, I am honestly, they lost 2 games this week. They were undefeated. They were 20-0. They go on the road to Michigan. They lose that game. They go on the road to, they host Illinois. They lose that one. I think a lot of people are concerned about Nebraska. You might hear people say, oh, they finally started playing tough competition. Now they're losing. Look at this. This was bound to happen. The Cinderella runs over. I am really not worried at all about Nebraska. I still think this Nebraska team is amazing. I still think they're a lot of fun. They've already beaten Illinois this year. They went on the road to Champaign and took down the Illini, and that was a game where they were fully healthy. I mean, Rienk Mast, I think, is probably still battling the flu right now. He's like their only big man. He's one of their best players. He was playing at, he has not been healthy. He missed the Michigan game, and then against Illinois, he was also banged up, was definitely not at 100%. Brayden Fagler also does not quite look like he's at 100% to me. He's another one of Nebraska's shooters. So they're undermanned, they're undergunned, and yet they're still competing at a really high level with the best of the best in the Big Ten. And the best of the best in the Big Ten are the best of the best in college basketball right now. So, I mean, you could make an argument that they should have won that Michigan game. They controlled the game on the road at Michigan pretty much the entire time, and they just kind of lost it at the very end. You could argue that game was poorly officiated. I think that there are moments in every college basketball game that's poorly officiated, so I think it's weak to make that excuse about a game. But still, Nebraska, I'm not worried about them. I love the way they play basketball. They play selflessly. They're all great shooters. You never know when you're going to get a random amazing performance from Jamarcus Lawrence, from Price Sanford, from Brayden Fagler, from Rienk Mast. I mean, they're all just fearless, and they trust each other. And then I love Sam Hoiberg. I swear Sam Hoiberg is one of the most underrated players in college basketball. He's their little 5'9" point guard. He is feisty. I love watching him play, and I think this Nebraska team has a chance to be great in the Big Ten the rest of the year and to make a run in March for sure. So I'm not worried about Nebraska yet. I will say, though, Illinois might be the team to beat in the Big Ten. It's them and Michigan, and I don't know exactly when they play, but when they do, that's going to be much-watched college basketball. You're going to have to tune in and watch that one. Moving on to, this is the Friday night game. Okay, so here are the other top 2 teams in the Big Ten. We just talked about Illinois and Nebraska. Now we're going to talk about Michigan State. I picked Michigan State in this game, and they lost, so I was a little bummed out. But it makes sense. Michigan dominated this game early on, and then Michigan State came all the way back, took the lead with 5 minutes left in the game. I think they were up something like 55-54, and then Michigan sort of swung back, closed the door, and won this one 83-71. The first thing that I need to talk about in this game is just a huge, big-time shout-out to Dusty May. I mean, I feel like we don't give this man enough credit. He has been unreal as the Michigan head coach. Keep in mind, this is just his second season as the Michigan Wolverines head coach. They're one of the best teams in the country. They just went on the road and beat one of their biggest rivals in their home court. This is the first time Michigan has won in East Lansing since 2018. So it's been a minute. And they did it in pretty resounding fashion. I mean, Dusty May is so cool. I remember hearing about all the Sherrone Moore stuff going on with Michigan and all their football program woes, and everyone had their solution. My solution was just make Dusty May the football head coach, because I promise, if there's anyone that can run an elite college basketball and college football program and get them to both succeed, It's got to be Dusty May because he's just so good at what he does. I've just been so impressed with what he's turned around this program. I mean, I don't even have to bring up the Juwan Howard years, do I? And how weird stuff was going on at Michigan. No one even has remembered that. Like, everything is just going so smoothly with the basketball program right now, despite all the turmoil in the big house. So that being said, congrats to Michigan for winning this game. Michigan's defense is just so phenomenal. They make things so hard for the offense in the paint. Like, it is so hard to operate anywhere in the paint against Michigan because they're just so good there. Whether it's Adai Mara, Yaxel Lindenborg, Morez Johnson, they work so well. They're great at contesting shots. They don't foul all that often. Yaxel and Morez are so athletic. I think Morez Johnson is the big shocker there. I mean, we kind of knew that Adai Mara was going to work in the Dusty May system. Maybe 7'3", just put him in the post, funnel things to him, and let him put his hands up. We all knew about Yaxel Lindenborg, how athletic he was, how good he was going to be defensively. But Morez Johnson, I had a lot of questions about Morez Johnson being in the starting lineup at the beginning of the year for Michigan. He has just been phenomenal, and he's great. He's strong. He's even he's become a really good scorer on this team, too. They go to him when they need buckets sometimes. He's awesome. I really like Morez Johnson Jr. Definitely one of the big reasons this Michigan defense is rated number 1 on KenPom right now. And I agree. I think this is the best defensive team in the country. They also have gotten huge production out of Elliot Cadeau. I want to give a huge shout out to Elliot Cadeau right now for being maybe one of the most improved players in the country this year. He's Michigan's point guard. If you're not familiar with Elliot Cadeau's career path, he was at North Carolina for the first 2 years of his career. And in those first 2 years, he shot, let me see if I can find the statistic on here. Okay, so he shot 18% from 3 in his freshman year, then 33% from 3 in his sophomore year, and now 42% from 3 in his junior year with the Michigan Wolverines. And I know three-point shooting is not everything for a point guard, but if you watch Elliot Cadeau, you always knew he was athletic. You always knew he's a pretty good passer. He was fantastic in transition, a pretty good defender. But his problem was he could not shoot, and he had no confidence in his shooting game whatsoever. And it was something that opponents targeted defensively. But now you cannot do that anymore because Elliot Cadeau has become the primary shot maker for Michigan. I mean, part of the reason why when Michigan took the lead late in this game, Michigan was able to pull back and sort of, widen that gap between the Spartans and the Wolverines was because of Elliot Cadeau. There were 2 or 3 times where he made big time shots to win this game on the road. That's been my main concern with Michigan. Yeah, the defense is great. Yeah, the post scoring is phenomenal. You're spectacular in transition. But who's going to be the guy to step up and make the big time shots in the big time moments in these close conference games? And if that can be Elliot Cadeau, then that is the answer for sure. And this Michigan team now, if Cadeau can play like he did against Michigan State, what's their weakness? Like, what's the downside about Michigan? Why are we not picking Michigan to make a big run in March to make the Final Four to win the national championship? If they have a defense that's this good, if they're this phenomenal in transition, if they're a great rebounding team, and if Cadeau can make the big time shots in the big time moments, I don't see why they can't win the national championship, if I'm being completely honest. So big time shout out for Michigan. They're a great team. If I were to pick anyone to win the national championship right now, I'd pick Duke. And then after that, I'd pick Michigan. And then I'd pick Arizona. So that's the top 3 for me. But this Michigan team is phenomenal. I really, really love what they've got going on. What else am I going to say? Okay, I'll talk about Michigan State now. So if you've watched Michigan State over the last 3 games, you would know that their starting point guard, Jeremy Fears, is absolutely on fire. Like, this guy is so good. I feel like Jeremy Fears is not talked about nearly enough. If Braden Smith didn't exist, Jeremy Fears would 100% be the best point guard in the Big Ten. Like, he is phenomenal. I love watching this guy. He had 17 points and 17 assists last Saturday. Against Rutgers on Tuesday, he had 29 points, which was a career high. And then against Michigan on Friday night, he had 31 points, which was a new career high. I mean, Jeremy Fears is so good. He's a phenomenal free throw shooter. He does a great job getting to the line. His mid-range game has improved so much. But above all that, above all the scoring and above anything else, he is maybe the best passer in college basketball. He is so phenomenal. He averages so many assists on a team that can't shoot. And that's Michigan State. And that leads me to my next point. As good as Jeremy Fears is, as much fun as I have watching him, and as much as I just love talking about good old Jeremy Fears, I am worried that Michigan State is wasting his talent. Because when you have a guy that is this good at playmaking, that is this good at passing the ball and getting all these assists, and you don't have any shooters around him, like, what are you doing? That's what the Nuggets do with Jokic. Jokic is such a good passer. They put him down there and they have shooters around him. That's what the Pistons are going to do with Cade Cunningham. I mean, that's what any good team does with a guy that is so good at facilitating an offense and passing the ball, is you get guys around him that can shoot. That's like basic basketball. Michigan State, I know they have Divine Ugochukwu. Other than that, I don't trust anybody on this Michigan team to shoot consistently. I know they have Jackson Kohler. My point still stands. Like, Jackson Kohler's a great basketball player. He's a good scorer. He's a great defender, and he is a Tom Izzo player through and through. But Michigan State, if they want to compete, if they want to get the most out of Jeremy Fears, if they want to squeeze as much juice out of that orange, they're going to need some shooters, and they don't have that. So to me, that's my main caveat on Michigan State. I think they're phenomenal defensively. I think any team that has a point guard like Jeremy Fears is going to be a consistent team against anybody that they play. I think they're good. I think they're great. I think they could win the Big Ten if they play at their peak. But at the end of the day, I don't think they're going to make a big, deep run into March because I don't think they have enough shooters. Like, it's not like you need everyone on your team to shoot three-pointers. You don't have to be Alabama and attempt 50 three-pointers a game. You just have to have a couple guys around your playmaker to help him out a little bit. I mean, this is like when you're playing pickup basketball at the gym and you have the one dude that you're giving the ball to, he's the best player, and he's getting triple teamed. What is he going to do? He's going to need to pass the ball out. He's going to have shooters around him. It's just kind of basic basketball knowledge, and Michigan State just doesn't have that, and it's so sad because they're so good defensively. They're so well coached, and Jeremy Fears is so good. It just seems like they're just one step away from being elite, and that one step is finally getting a good point guard. Or not a good point guard, some good shooters around their great point guard. So that's what they need. They don't have it quite yet, but who knows? Maybe they'll get it. Is there anything else I want to say? No, that's it. That's it on this game. We're going to move on to the other Sunday game. The Alabama Crimson Tide went on the road to Gainesville, Florida, and got absolutely killed. I mean, this game was not even close. Florida won 100-77. If you blindfolded me or if you took away the score bug and asked me what the score was at the end of this game, I would have said that Florida probably won by 80. I mean, it was ridiculous. It was an absolute blowout. The Florida Gators are looking phenomenal right now. I mean, this team is so well coached. My main concerns about this team going into the season and after watching their non-conference slate was, yeah, the front court's awesome. I mean, Cheney Lou's phenomenal. Houck and Condon and Hanlockton are all going to be great. But the backcourt, I'm a little concerned about. You know, Boogie Fland and Xavier Lee, they're not playing great. They're not great shooters. They're not great scorers. I don't know if you can win big-time games with a backcourt like that. Well, frankly, you don't even really need a backcourt like that if you're going to perform like you did in this game. I mean, Florida's defense was so good in this basketball game. Like, it was so obvious when you're watching it that, wow, Florida just has put so much more effort into this game defensively. They're so much bigger. They have so much more length. They're so much better coached on the defensive end of the basketball. It's not even close. Florida forced 18 turnovers in this game. For reference, Florida turned the ball over twice. It was 18-2. That was the turnover differential. It's not even close. And it was not just one guy making all these plays. I mean, Tommy Houck was fantastic in this game. I don't think there is a single player in college basketball, at least in the SEC, that gives this much effort game in and game out than Thomas Houck does for the Florida Gators. I mean, he is all over the floor at all times on both ends. And there's just no off switch on that guy. He is just constantly going. It's really, really fun to watch. Cheney Lou had 14 points and 17 rebounds. Cheney Lou is such a good defender. Oh my goodness. If you watched this game and you saw the possession of him switching on to LeBaron Philon and locking him down for like legitimately 8 seconds, and then switching back to Latrell Wrightsell and locking him down for 8 more seconds, I mean, it's unbelievable. That's a big-time center who averages a double-double going out to the perimeter and locking down guards. And not just any guards, but Alabama guards. And Alabama's got one of the best backcourts in the country. Cheney Lou's just, I don't care. I'll just go out and lock him down anyway. It doesn't matter. He's phenomenal. Alex Condon was great in this game as well. Condon had 25 points, 7 rebounds, 6 assists, and 0 turnovers. That's what Alex Condon did. This Florida team is peaking at the right time. Boogie Fland had 8 steals. 8 steals. I mean, that stat line just completely got shoved under the rug because all anyone cared about in this game was Chinyalu, Tommy Houck, the fact that Florida won by, 23 points, and the Bediako thing, that no one talked about the fact that Boogie Fland had 8 steals. I mean, he's phenomenal. When you put up that kind of performance, when you out-rebound a team like that, out-hustle them, out-defend them, out-turnover them, you don't even need good play from your guards. Like, Fland had a pretty good game. Xavier Lee did pretty much nothing, but Florida didn't really need him to. All they needed to do was not turn the ball over and just put this much effort onto the floor that they did. If they can play like this, where they don't even need Xavier Lee and Boogie Fland to win games, then they're going to win almost every game that they possibly can. So I'm really proud of this Florida team. They really are peaking at the right time. In my opinion, they are the best team in the SEC. I know they lost to Auburn last week. I still think they're phenomenal. They're my front runner in the Southeastern Conference, and they legitimately could make another run at the Final Four if their defense can play like this. So I'm really impressed in Florida. With Alabama, I mean, yikes. This was big yikes for the Crimson Tide. It just felt like they got dominated on the boards all game long. They got dominated in effort, dominated in turnovers. They just came out flat. Like in the absolute best way that I can possibly say this, they just came out flat. I mean, it looked like they weren't even trying against Florida. It was rough. It was really hard to watch. If you're an Alabama fan, I think with this Alabama team, again, when you don't have a consistent defense, it is really hard to be consistent without a great defense. And Alabama just doesn't have a great defense. They're still very weak in the front court, even with the addition of Charles Bediako. And I mean, I can talk about that if I wanted to, but I think a lot of the college basketball world was kind of a little bit happy watching the Alabama Crimson Tide get smoked in this game. After acquiring Bediako, it just sort of felt like they got put into their place a little bit, which was sort of good to see. So I don't know. I still really like Nate Oates. I really like LeBaron Philon. I think this Alabama team, when they're playing their best, it is still really good. It just feels like they're never playing their best against good opponents. So that's the problem for the Crimson Tide. Personally, I mean, they're going to be okay. They're going to make the tournament. They're going to still win more games in the SEC to play A&M on Wednesday. I just feel like Alabama probably has no chance to make it to the second weekend of March unless they just get insanely hot. But I don't know. This is a rough pill to swallow for the Crimson Tide. We'll see if they can bounce back. Next game we're going to talk about a big-time upset in the Big 12. UCF, one of the most under-talked about teams in the country, took down the Texas Tech Red Raiders. They did it in wearing sweet uniforms, and they won 88-80 in Orlando. UCF, by the way, now has wins over A&M, Kansas, and Texas Tech. I mean, those are 3 big-time wins. Texas Tech and Kansas are contenders in the Big 12, and A&M right now is the best team in the SEC standings-wise. So UCF has great wins, and their losses are not very bad either. They have 4 losses. They're all quad 1. They're 17-4. In my opinion, right now, they would be a 7 seed or maybe even a 6 seed. I really like what I'm seeing from UCF. I mean, they completely dominated Texas Tech on the boards in this game. It was 35-23. That's the rebounding advantage that UCF had. 13-4 in terms of offensive rebounds. And when you can give yourself so many more extra possessions than the other team does, this is what's going to happen. You're going to win these games, and that's exactly what UCF did. They're getting great play from their guards, Riley Kugel and Themis Fulks. They were both great in this game. UCF is very consistent on offense because of those 2 guys. I really like this UCF team. I think it's great. But you know who doesn't like this UCF team is predictive metrics. Like I think they're somewhere in the 40s on KenPom. Probably similar spots on all the other predictive metrics out there. So not a lot of people think that UCF can make a deep run in March because of that, because they're not the most efficient team in the world. I just like watching them. I think this is a fun team. I think they're definitely a tournament team. This is a big-time win over Texas Tech. So shout out to UCF. Their fan base went nuts. Kudos to y'all. Y'all deserve to go nuts after this one. This is a big-time win. They beat Texas Tech and Kansas on their home floor. They rushed the court in both of those wins. So it's been a great season to be a Golden Knights basketball fan. With Texas Tech, for me, it's pretty much the same old thing. Like, I've been talking about this all year with Texas Tech. JT Toppin and Christian Anderson are dynamite. Like, they are so, so good. I love watching JT Toppin and Christian Anderson. I think that they are potentially the best duo in college basketball. From a point guard and center perspective, I don't think you could tell me a better duo in college basketball than Christian Anderson and JT Toppin. They're phenomenal. Toppin had 27 and 10 in this game. Christian Anderson had 17 points and 9 assists. It feels like every single game, Toppin and Anderson are balling out, and they're playing really efficient, really good basketball. And whether or not Texas Tech wins is not on their shoulders. It's on everybody else's shoulders, because sometimes they get phenomenal performances out of their supporting cast, whether it's Jalen Petty or Donovan Atwell or Lawan Watts, whoever it is. They get great performances out of those guys. They win big games. But sometimes the supporting cast just falls flat. And that's sort of what happened in this game. They didn't shoot great from beyond the arc. Petty didn't really make a big impact. Neither did Atwell. Neither did Lawan Watts. And because of that, they kind of got out hustled. They got out defended. And despite the best efforts from Toppin and Anderson, UCF was able to win this game because they got so many more extra possessions. And frankly, they forced more turnovers. And a lot of that is just on Texas Tech supporting cast for not showing up in these big time games. And I love Texas Tech. I think when Texas Tech's playing at their peak, they're one of the most fun teams in college basketball to watch. And they're great. And I really enjoy watching them. But sometimes they're just flat. Like sometimes they go out there and it's all Toppin and it's all Anderson, and I feel bad for them because the rest of the guys just aren't putting in the effort that should lead to wins. So I'm not worried about Texas Tech because I think that they're going to get it figured out. I think that they're going to be playing at their peak in big time games. It's just in games like this that they're not the most marquee matchups. You know, this is not college game day against Houston. This is not Monday night basketball against Kansas. This is against UCF. And it might hurt them seeding wise in the Big 12 tournament and in the NCAA tournament because they're going to drop games like this where their supporting cast just doesn't really give their 100% effort. So that's why I think Texas Tech is a very confusing team. I think they're a very up and down team, but when they're playing at their peak, they can be really, really, really good. Moving on from this game, this was one that I feel like not a lot of people are talking about. Kentucky goes on the road and takes down top 15 Arkansas 85-77, handing Arkansas their first home loss of the season. And this is also the first time Kentucky has beaten a John Calipari coached Arkansas team. The main storyline to me in this game, and there are a lot of main storylines out there around this game, but the one I'm going to start with was Otega Oweh finally showing up. Like, I feel like it's been so long. Otega Oweh was so good last year in the clutch. He was so awesome. I swear, at least like 3 times last year, Otega Oweh hit an amazing buzzer beater at the end of the game to win, whether it was in the SEC tournament, whether it was in the regular season. He was awesome. He was the leader on this team, and he was most people's preseason pick to be the SEC Player of the Year. Like, he's awesome. He's a great player. But all this season, I felt like he's just played cautious. He's sort of taken a backstage role. He just hasn't asserted himself. He hasn't been aggressive or fearless late in games like he needs to be. And last night, or Saturday night against Arkansas, I finally saw a confident Otega Oweh. He put up 24 points in this game. He was 9 for 12 from the field, and he commanded the last 5 minutes of this game, whether it was driving to the hole, his mid-range game, whatever it was. I mean, finally, this is what Kentucky was waiting for. This is what they needed. And they finally got it from their best player, Otega Oweh. And, I mean, this could lead to a reversal. I mean, do we remember Arkansas' season last year? Do you remember when they were really down? They were losing a lot of games. I don't even think they'd won an SEC game up at this point. And they were going on the road to Kentucky against a top 15 team. There was, all this storyline with John Calipari and the Kentucky Wildcats and all this stuff going on. And Arkansas went into that building on the road, and they put up their best performance of the year and beat Kentucky. And after that, they used that performance to catapult themselves to a very successful finish to the season and a Sweet 16 appearance, and they got really close to making the Elite Eight. Could that be the same story with Kentucky? We know they have the talent. We know it's there. We've seen great performances from this team. Is this the moment where they go on the road against a top 15 team against John Calipari, get a big win, and then use that performance to catapult themselves the rest of the season? Could we see that? It might happen. I know it's a little bit of a stretch. It's a weird comparison. But I think that, honestly, it could be the case. We'll have to see what happens. Of course, I'm not predicting that Kentucky is going to go crazy because they truly are the most unpredictable team in college basketball. Like, there's no telling whether Kentucky is going to go on the road against one of the best teams in the SEC and beat them, or if they're going to show up to Nashville and lose by 30 to Vanderbilt or to Gonzaga. Like, they are legitimately the most unpredictable team in all of college basketball. So that is why, if I'm a betting man, I would never bet Kentucky. And I have no idea what this season is going to have for Kentucky. No one has any idea. I mean, what is even happening with this program? I don't understand it. But this is a big-time win. In Kentucky, I mean, they're not a bad team. Are they underperforming? Yes. Were they overrated at the beginning of the year? Yes. Did I say they were going to be the best team in the SEC? And do I have to eat my words? Yes. But that being said, this Kentucky team has wins over Indiana. They controlled the game the entire time against St. John's. They got a big win there. They won at Tennessee. They beat Texas. They won at Arkansas just now. They have good wins. Like, these are good wins. And their losses aren't that bad. They lost at Louisville. I have my doubts about Louisville, but they're a good team. That's not a bad loss. They lost to Michigan State, a top 10 team. They lost to North Carolina at home. They probably should have won that game, but it's okay. That's not a bad loss. They got crushed by Gonzaga, but Gonzaga's a top 10 team. They lost at Alabama. That's understandable. Alabama at their peak is a really good team. They lost to Missouri at home. That's the rough one. That is the bad loss that Kentucky has. And then at Vandy, another top 20 team that's a consistent, good college basketball team. So if you're Kentucky, you're not in a bad spot. You have big wins. Can you just finally shift your momentum a little bit to plant your peak? Like, we haven't quite seen peak Kentucky yet this year, in my opinion. This might have been it. The St. John's game might have been it. But I think as a Kentucky fan, you're hoping that you haven't seen the peak yet. You're hoping that it's still yet to come. And it might be. We'll just have to wait and see. With Arkansas, I'm not worried about Arkansas. Darius Acuff is so good. I think he's still so phenomenal. Watching this game, he played great. He's one of the best freshmen in this freshman class. I think he's a little bit underrated, to be honest. All the talk about the freshmen are elsewhere. Darius Acuff is really, really good. I think the refs in this game were really bad, too. A couple of those technical fouls were nonsense, especially the one on Mohamed Diabate. He scored and then went, "Let's go." Like, he literally just said, he goes, "Let's go." He wasn't directing at anyone. He wasn't staring at anyone. He just goes, "Let's go." And the ref teed him up. Like, what are we talking about? How is that a technical foul? Like, that's just ridiculous to me. I can't say "let's go" anymore after he dunks a basketball. I mean, are we even human? Like, if I dunk a basketball on my mini goal right there, like, here, I'll angle it for you so you can see it. I got a mini basketball goal. If I dunk it over there, I'm going to say "let's go." And I'm sorry, the camera got a little off. I probably should have done that. Anyway, Mohamed Diabate can't say "let's go" after he dunks. What are we doing? I thought that was ridiculous. But I don't know. I'm not one to complain about the refs. This is a fun game. Big win for Kentucky. Arkansas is going to be fine. That's my short take on this game. This was a fun one. San Diego State and Utah State battled for the control of the Mountain West Conference. Utah State came out on top 71-66. This game was pretty back and forth. San Diego State had the lead for most of the first half and pretty decently into the second half as well. And Utah State was able to come up and win this game. They dominated the boards. They out-rebounded San Diego State 46-31. And I think they really fed off the energy of their home court. That home court in Utah is one of the best home environments in college basketball. And they proved that against San Diego State, getting them a huge win. If I'm San Diego State, I still think San Diego State's better than Utah State, despite this loss, because you know what? San Diego State got dominated on the boards, and they were without Magoon Guath. Magoon Guath is 7'2". He is a great rebounder. He's a fantastic defender for them. They didn't have him tonight or that night, or that afternoon. They played it at noon. Anyway, because of that, they got cooked on the boards. They got cooked down low. I think if they have Magoon Guath, they win this game. And I think with Magoon Guath, this is a much better team than Utah State. If I'm picking the winner of the Mountain West today, I'm picking San Diego State. I think they're going to be in the tournament. And I honestly think they can give some people some trouble. They'll probably be an 11 seed, maybe a 10 seed. If I'm a 7 seed, I do not want to play against San Diego State. They're a good basketball team. Miles Bird did really struggle in this game, but I'm not worried about it. If I'm San Diego State, I think going out of this game, I have more faith in San Diego State than Utah State, for sure, despite Utah State winning, which I know might be a little complicated, but I don't know. That's just my take. The late night game on Saturday night was St. Mary's and Gonzaga. All right. I said on the video before this game, I picked St. Mary's to win, and I was wrong. All right, I'll eat that. I was wrong on this one. 100% I was. I also said I am really excited to watch these two teams play because I haven't watched them in so long. I, in fact, did not watch this game. I was at a movie theater, and I watched Iron Lung, which was not a good movie, let me tell you. If Michael Moore's watching this somehow, I'm sorry. I hated that movie. It was terrible. But anyway, I could not watch this game because I was at the movie theater, and that was a bummer because this was a good game. And I did have my phone on. I was still watching, kind of, as I was watching the movie. And basically every time I looked at my phone, I just saw a St. Mary's big be the most unathletic person on the planet. So that's my takeaway. St. Mary's is unathletic and they can't shoot. And Graham Ike is an absolute bucket. Ike had 30 points in this game. He is by far the best player in the West Coast Conference. It's not even close. And if he can play like this, like if you're going to let Ike just get to the low post and put up 30 points, you're not beating Gonzaga. The way that you beat Gonzaga, and Braden Huff wasn't even in this game, the way you beat Gonzaga is to suffocate the front court and make them beat you by shooting the basketball. It's how like Fairleigh Dickinson beat Purdue. Just take away Zach Edey and just everyone else, you're good. You can shoot. You can do whatever you want. We're not going to let Zach Edey operate. That's how this Gonzaga team is. We got to take away Graham Ike. Everyone else, you're good. Do your thing. Operate. I don't care if you hit threes. We're not going to let Ike get his. If you can do that, you can beat this team. That being said, we're going to move on to the ACC. I'm going to talk a little Cam Boozer because I feel like Cam Boozer isn't getting talked about enough. Cam Boozer is the best Duke freshman in my lifetime. I am 20 years old. I have been on this planet since 2005. I've seen a lot of things in sports. I have not seen a freshman wear a Duke jersey and be as good as Cam Boozer. And I know Cooper Flagg was the freshman last year of Duke that led him to the Final Four. I know Zion Williamson was the biggest story in sports in 2019 when he was on Duke. I get it. Those guys were phenomenal. Cam Boozer is averaging 23.5 points, 9.8 rebounds, and 4.1 assists per game. That is better numbers than Cooper Flagg had. That is better numbers than Zion Williamson had. If you don't believe me, look it up. It's better. Like Cam Boozer's numbers are much better. They're not much better, but easily better than Cooper Flagg and Zion Williamson's numbers. Duke is 21-1 right now. Their lone loss was to Texas Tech, a game that they controlled and dominated the entire time. And Christian Anderson just went crazy at the end. Can you blame him? Christian Anderson's a phenom. But yes, I do think that this is the best Duke team, or not the best Duke team, the best Duke freshman season that I have seen in my days of watching college basketball. And I have watched Zion Williamson. I've watched RJ Barrett. I've watched Cam Reddish. I have watched Cooper Flagg and Con Kneppel. And this is the best freshman season I've seen from a Duke player. Is this me saying that Cam Boozer is going to be the best Duke freshman in the NBA? No. I don't think Cam Boozer is as good of an NBA talent as he is a college basketball talent. But he is so good at college basketball. Like, he's not the most athletic guy in the world. He's a center and he's 6'9". He doesn't jump out of the gym. He doesn't shock you with his performances. That's why Zion and Cooper Flagg got so much more press, because every time Zion got out in transition, it was a movie. Every time Cooper Flagg did anything, they panned to his parents, and they were cheering, and he was going crazy, and he got talked about because he was at the Olympics, and just so much more media press was on Zion and Cooper Flagg than is on Cam Boozer. But Cam Boozer is better than them in college right now. Like, I know that's crazy to say, but it's true. And he's also healthy. He's played every game and started every game and played almost the entire time, every single game. He's an amazing player. I thought the most impressive stuff to me that I saw from Cam Boozer, I remember this game was close. This Duke-Virginia Tech game, it was close in the fourth quarter. And I think it was like a 6-point game at one point. I think it was even a 4-point game in the fourth quarter late. And they just said, okay, Cam Boozer, we're going to give you the ball at the top of the key. You're going to go downhill. And he did. He got the ball at the top of the key. Center, by the way, comes downhill, gets an and-one bucket. Next possession, after getting a stop, they give it to Cam Boozer. He comes off the screen and splashes a three in the face of the Virginia Tech player to effectively seal the game. He is a killer. He's stone cold. He's a winner. He always has been in high school and now in college. And he was my preseason pick to win National Player of the Year. It's one of my only preseason picks that's probably going to hit, so I'm going to stay true to that one. And he just put up another great performance on the road against the Virginia Tech Hokies. I am a little worried about the rest of the team. Isaiah Evans is a little inconsistent. I might be the only one saying it, but he's a little inconsistent. Their point guard play from Caden Boozer and Caleb Foster, it's a little inconsistent. I might be the only one saying this, but I don't know if I trust the rest of that Duke team, but Cam Boozer's phenomenal. And because of how phenomenal he is, I mean, I'm picking Duke to win the national championship. It's just the thing that I'm doing. This is an improved ACC, and they're dominating it. They're a really good team. Anyway, we're just going to talk about another one-loss team that's not getting talked about enough. Oh, I flipped that. St. Louis won this game 102-71. They did not lose it 102-71. So when I'm talking about St. Louis, just keep in mind that I messed up the graphic. And St. Louis should have 102, and Dayton should have 71. Just keep that in mind. If you're listening to this and not watching it, just ignore that part of the segment. But St. Louis is the most underrated team in college basketball, in my opinion. They have one loss. That one loss was to Stanford by one possession. And ever since then, they have been absolutely annihilating the A-10. They just crushed Dayton 102-71 on Friday night. Absolute destruction. And I feel like basically no one's talking about St. Louis. But if anyone ever does talk about St. Louis, their first thing that they say is, oh, yeah, St. Louis, Robbie Avila. That dude is awesome, man. Robbie Avila is so good. That center with the goggles, yeah, that dude's fun. And he is. I love Robbie Avila. He's crazy. He's shooting like over 42% from three, and he's balling 100%. He's a great player. But he only had 7 points in this game. I mean, only a 7-point performance from Robbie Avila, and St. Louis won by 32 points or 31 points against Dayton. A good Dayton team. I know Dayton's lost 4 in a row. They're a good team, and St. Louis just buried them. Like, this is a really, really good team. St. Louis shot 17 from 28 from three. My goodness. Trey Green was 8 for 11 from the field, 7 of 10 from three. St. Louis as a team had 23 assists to just 14 assists from Dayton. This is a great St. Louis team. This team could make a run in March. This team is going to get an at-large bid if they don't win the A-10, which they're probably going to. And, I mean, they're my sleeper pick to make the Sweet 16 and maybe even the Elite Eight. They're so good. Like, they're so well balanced. They pass the ball so well. The ball movement on this team is phenomenal. They play good defense. Their rotation is like 9 deep. It's awesome. They're so good. And no one's talking about them. So yeah, St. Louis is the most underrated team in college basketball. You heard it here first. Unless they just go on an absolute terrible run. That being said, we're going to preview a little bit of the week now for college basketball. We're going to look at Monday night, Tuesday night, and Wednesday night. What's going on? What you should look out for? What you need to watch? What you don't need to watch? And what I think is going to happen. First of all, Monday night, tonight. By the way, as I'm recording this, it is 6:05 p.m., so Syracuse UNC has already tipped off. It's on ESPN. That should be a really fun game. McNeese and that's, what is that, SFA? Stephen F. Austin. This is a big-time game. The McNeese, I think, is 18-3. They're 17-4. Stephen F. Austin is 18-3. Winner of this game sort of maintains possession of the Southland Conference. This is probably going to be the Southland Conference championship game. These are 1 and 2 in that conference, which basically means one of these two teams is going to the tournament. If you have ESPN Plus and you want to watch this game, go watch it because it's going to be fun. These are two great defenses. They're really well coached. And one of these teams is most likely going to be in March and could potentially go on a run. Like, these are two sleeper teams in the Southland Conference that you should 100% be looking out for. McNeese and Stephen F. Austin, they're both great. And the nightcap tonight at 8 p.m., Kansas and Texas Tech. That game is going to be awesome. I'm really excited to watch that one while I do some homework. Darren Peterson against Christian Anderson and JT Toppin should be great. I can't wait to watch it. It's going to be a fun one in the Big Ten. Tipping off at 8 p.m. Central Time over there on ESPN. So Monday night's going to be fun. And then Tuesday night, we got a huge game in the MAC between Miami and Buffalo. If you don't remember, the first time these two teams played, it went to overtime. Miami hit like 2 buzzer beaters to push it to overtime, and they ended up winning the game. Every single Miami-Ohio game this year has been much-watched television, and it probably is going to be on Tuesday night at 5:30 p.m., also on ESPN+. Should be a great game. And then the game that I'm most excited about on Tuesday night is SMU at NC State. Should be a great game. 2 really good teams in the ACC. Battling over there on ESPN2 at 8 p.m. Central. Cannot wait for that one. Should be a lot of fun. And over in the Mountain West Conference, the biggest game on Tuesday night for me is Nevada at Boise State. It's on Mountain West Network, which I didn't even know existed, so I don't think I'm going to be able to watch that game. But it should be a fun one to keep a tab on. And then 9 p.m., a big-time game between Indiana and USC. Indiana is in the tournament picture right now with that win over Purdue, but they need to keep playing well. They need to keep winning games if they want to make the tournament for sure. And USC is kind of in a similar spot. They've been playing good basketball. They're probably in the tournament right now. They just need to keep winning games, and they need to make sure that they stay on the right side of that bubble. So that's a big one, and it's at 9 p.m. on Peacock. It'll probably also air on NBC Sports Network. So if you have YouTube TV, you can probably watch that game as well. And then Wednesday night, there are a lot of really good ones to watch. Starting at Peacock at 5:30, you got Seton Hall and Villanova. These are probably the 3rd and 4th best teams in the Big East squaring off. You got 2 great defensive teams. Should be a close one. Should be a grind-it-out type game. Both of these teams, or Seton Hall definitely needs to win a lot more than Villanova does. But Villanova, if they win this game, it would be huge for them as well. Then we got UCF at Houston at 6 p.m. Central Time on FS1. That should be a lot of fun. I've been talking about how UCF, a lot of people doubt them. A lot of people think that they're not going to be able to make a run in March because they can't win games like this. But this is a big-time game. Houston hasn't lost at home in like a year. So it's been a minute, and Houston should win this game. Like, I'm not saying UCF is going to win, but it's an interesting one. We got A&M at Alabama at 6 p.m. on SEC Network on Wednesday night. A&M's got the lead of the SEC right now. People are talking about them like they're the best team in the conference, but they're also saying they haven't played anybody. Now they got to go on the road to an Alabama team that is really struggling right now. They've lost 4 of their last 7. Can they right the ship against the Aggies? We'll have to see. And then 6 p.m. Central Time on ESPN Plus, a big-time game between Furman and East Tennessee State in the SoCon Conference. East Tennessee State's one of the best teams in this conference. So is Furman. This is a little bit of a rivalry game. It's going to be fun to watch. If you have ESPN Plus, 6 p.m. window is huge because of that game, the A&M game, and the UCF game. Should be a lot of fun ones. And then 9 p.m. on the ACC Network, we got Clemson at Stanford. This is a big-time opportunity for Stanford to get a win. They're outside the tournament right now, but if they could win some of these big games in the ACC, they might be able to vault themselves into the field. Clemson's been playing great basketball as of recently. That's a really interesting clash from the high-flying offense that Emeka, whatever his name is, brings from Stanford, and sort of the low-pace, grinded-out defensive style basketball that Clemson plays. That should be a fun one. And then maybe my favorite game of the week, 10 p.m. Central on FS1, Utah State at New Mexico. 2 of the best teams in the Mountain West. This should be a really fun one. Utah State's hot right now. So is New Mexico. I think the winner of this conference actually emerges into first place in the Mountain West, even though I still think San Diego State's the best team. We'll see what happens there, but this should be a great week of college basketball. And I'm not going to talk about it right now, but we do have an awesome day on Saturday filled with some great basketball then too. So that's pretty much all I got for y'all today. Thanks so much for watching. If you take one thing away from this video, it's not that I love college basketball or that I think it's fantastic or that I'm really excited about this week. It is that whatever you're looking for in life to be fulfilled by, whether it's money, other people's opinions of you, whatever it is, just know that nothing will fulfill you in this life more than Jesus' love will. I mean, that's what we're made for as human beings, is to love each other and to be loved by Jesus and by God. And, you know, I would not have anything if it wasn't for God. I would not have any of my relationships, any of my earthly possessions. I wouldn't have this Texans helmet that's on this side, my beautiful Texans helmet, if it weren't for Jesus. And I just wanted to share the good news with you that, you know, if you're struggling right now, if you're stressed out, if you're anxious, if you're scared, whatever it is, true peace is found with Jesus, with God. It always is, it always has been, and always will be. He'll always be there for you. He always loves you. You're never too far gone to turn to Jesus, turn to the church, whatever it is. This is not me saying I'm better than y'all. I'm not. I'm a sinful man. I always have been. I always will be. But it's okay because Jesus is my life and my salvation. So none of us are perfect, but Jesus is. So I'm hitching my trailer onto to my Lord and Savior. So that being said, thanks so much for watching, folks. God bless. Hope you have a great week and a great weekend. And that's all I got. I'll see y'all later.